Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football Dill, a fascinating Big 12 matchup. Coach Prime, the Colorado Buffaloes, let's be frank about it, not only the hottest team in the Big 12, one of the hottest teams in all of the country, heading on the road to Arrowhead Stadium to play the Kansas Jayhawks. And let me just start with this. It's no secret this Kansas team has fallen short of expectations in 2024. This is a much better football team than what their record says. Sitting there with a 4-6 record, one, they're playing really good as of late, just going on the road and knocking off a top 10 ranked BYU team. More importantly, like 5 out of their 6 losses have been one-score games. This is a Kansas team that's good, just hasn't really made the plays down the stretch to win some of these football games. And I think that's kind of why we have a line where Colorado's only 2.5-point favorites at Arrowhead Stadium here. Fired up to get into this one, kind of headlined by a fascinating matchup. One of the best rushing attacks in the country, the Kansas Jayhawks, going up against a Colorado defense that front seven has been elite against the run. And I think there are a lot of people that just kind of assume this Colorado team is the same that we saw in 2023. It's not the case. They're bigger, faster, stronger in the front seven. But I think more importantly, this is a defense that knows what they want to do. They want to play man coverage, single high safety, walk that safety into the box. They have an identity on defense. And I think that really helps Colorado and what we've seen on the defensive side of the football. Now, before we get into it, as always, let it fly in the comment section. I think a lot of different ways you can look at this football game. Obviously, a very tight spread coming in at 2.5 points. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, without further ado, let's start with the main event. I think what I'm most fascinated with in this football game, this Kansas rushing attack that is going to run the football a lot. It's no secret about that, but they're going to run the football in so many different ways. When you have a quarterback like Jalen Daniels, when you have a running back that like Devin Neal, who, let's be quite frank about it, is one of the best running backs not only in the Big 12, but in the country, they get super creative in terms of how they want to run the football. Now, you look at this Colorado defense, and, for some who are just starting to pay attention to Colorado in 2024, I'm going to just let you know what this Colorado defense has been doing. 22.3 points per game allowed. That's top 35 in the country. 4.8 yards per play allowed. 22nd in the country. More specifically, Dale, 3.7 yards per carry. That's top 30 in the country. And they're sacking the quarterback 9.6% of the time. That's top 10. You look at a lot of different metrics evaluating defenses. This Colorado defense has massively improved from what we've seen in 2023. When you look at this Kansas rushing attack versus this Colorado defense, what's the biggest storyline you're looking at here?
I mean, it's going to be about how well Colorado tackles because, frankly, you look at one of the underrated things Colorado's changed. I mean, obviously bigger, stronger on both sides of the ball on lines of scrimmage, but their ability to tackle in space is way up. I felt like last year it was such a problem at times when teams would get them, especially the way Pac-12 teams like to play, get them out in space and see if they could tackle. There were a lot of times where Colorado wasn't able to tackle guys, and they'd give up a lot of big plays off it. This year, they've been much better about it. Obviously, guys like Cam Silman-Craig, way better. Nikhai Hill-Green, really been good tackling in space. But frankly, they haven't really seen a test like this Kansas team and how they're able to get Devin Neal out in space, get Jalen Daniels out in space, and put you in one-on-one positions. And you need to get those two on the ground because they're both really explosive.
And I would throw in Daniel Highshaw too. Like, that's another running back that can get it done. Devin Neal kind of highlights the group. Daniel Highshaw, very, very good running back as well. Two things that stand out. One, tackling in space, massive, because that's kind of how Kansas's rushing attack is predicated. Like, we're going to get you in space and we're going to try to make you miss. I think just as importantly, eye discipline. This Kansas offense just toys with defenses at the second level. Like, a ton of eye candy, ton of jet sweep motions, ton of different personnel formations and personnel groupings. They keep you on your toes. But a lot of it is just eye candy. And so if you're Levante Bentley, if you're Nikhai Hill-Green, if you're Cam Silman-Craig coming into the box and supporting the run, got to be disciplined with your eyes. You're going to see a lot of stuff going on in the backfield. Got to make sure you're disciplined, reading your cues, and fitting the run the right way. And if you can do that, you put yourself in a pretty dang good position to be successful stopping the run. I think secondly, I really do like how this Kansas team marries the run game with the passing attack. It's no secret Kansas is going to want to run the football. But when they want to throw the football, they're going to go off some play action, and they're going to push the ball down the field. And if you're Colorado, like, it's no secret what Colorado's going to come into this football game and want to do. They don't want to play man coverage on the outside with a single high safety in Shiloh Sanders. And that's one of the things I respect a lot about Colorado is they don't try to get super, super tricky with it. Like, you kind of know what they're going to do. And if you start having some man beaters, they'll make some adjustments and go to some zone. But I think from primarily, they've gotten really good at specific defenses, and they executed at a high level. If you are looking at Kansas having success in the passing attack, they're going to be pushing the ball down the field. You got to win your one-on-one matchups, which is easier said than done, right? DJ McKinney, Travis Hunter, two really, really good boundary cornerbacks. They're going to be put on islands. I think Colorado is going to want to try to take away this run game and trust Travis Hunter and DJ McKinney to be dudes on the outside. Can Kansas win some of those vertical one-on-one matchups? Kind of the storyline in this football game for me.
Especially Daniels has started to throw the ball pretty well.
Better,
That's one thing I feel like people are almost sleeping on is like obviously early it was a little bit choppy in terms of what their passing attack was, but they're hitting big plays. And I get like some people's statistic anomaly kind of situation. When you start to really hit them at a high clip, I think that starts to get dangerous. And Colorado has given up some big plays in the passing attack. Obviously, that's
so there's two things that I'm kind of looking at like that most importantly, and then can Kansas get to some of those man beaters and get Colorado out of that man coverage look? You've seen Colorado at times struggle when teams say, hey, we know you're going to play man coverage. We're going to start dialing up some mesh concepts and some crossing patterns to create some separation of your man coverage. Can Kansas do that? And can Jalen Daniels be that, accurate packet passer in this football game? And I think the last storyline, Dale, turnovers. That's one stat that I left off when I was reading Colorado's defensive stats. They're forcing 2.5 turnovers per game. That's top 5 in the country. When Kansas has struggled, Jalen Daniels has put the ball in harm's way a lot. He is a gunslinger. He's going to try to make some high-level throws, but when he's doing that, he's also going to turn the football over, and Kansas has lost games due to Jalen Daniels not taking care of the football. If you're Colorado, can you force some of those turnovers in this football game? Certainly a big storyline. Dill, flipping sides, I think we kind of know how this matchup's going to go here. You look at Kansas' defense, I just don't know if they have the dudes to keep up with all of the weapons that Colorado has. Now, a really intriguing matchup here is Kansas, for what I just said about not having dudes, they got some dudes on the boundary. You look at Mello Dotson, Kobe Bryant, two very good boundary cornerbacks, have graded out extremely well for Kansas. Can Colorado work the middle of the field? Can you move Travis Hunter around, get him some favorable matchups? Because outside of those two boundary cornerbacks, I think some of those other second-level defenders for Kansas are gettable. Can you find some kind of those matchups with LaJohntay Wester and Travis Hunter work in the middle of the field? That's going to be big. We saw Will Sheppard kind of had himself a game on the boundary for Colorado a couple times this season. I feel like this game, it's going to be kind of primarily dedicated on attacking that middle of the field and getting your space against the Kansas defense that I just question if they have enough space or speed and athleticism to deal with all those weapons that Colorado is going to throw at them.
You look at a guy like Draylon Miller. I mean, he should be able to have
use them
because I don't love you kind of said it. The front seven for Kansas kind of is what it is. It's just not a great unit. I don't think the linebacker core is particularly athletic. You look at the way they can line up Draylon Miller and get him some matchups that you probably want. I mean, Coach Prime said they can line him up in the backfield, they can line him up in the slot, on the boundary, wherever they want. They got to have that guy to find a way to get after those linebackers because to me, that's where you can hurt Kansas. Again, I'm not sure Colorado's just going to run the ball, run them into the ground like you probably could if you're a team like a Nebraska who that's your identity, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to take the ball completely out of Shedur's hands, so that's probably not where you want to go with this football game. But in that, you got to get after this linebacker core because that probably is the weakness. And a guy like Draylon Miller is kind of built to do that.
Yeah, I think Gus called Draylon Miller Debo Samuel Jr. Love that comp. But I think Draylon Miller's a dude. And we loved him coming out of high school. Two other storylines here. Kansas can rush the passer a little bit, and they'll throw some different looks at you. The sack to quarterback 7.2% of the time. That's 37th in the country. When we've seen Colorado struggle, they struggle to protect Shedeur. You kind of know if you can protect Shedeur Sanders, he's going to get some things going on offense. Can you make sure you keep him clean? Which Colorado has done a brilliant job of over the last couple of weeks, really since that Nebraska game. And I think secondly, Dill, hitting some explosive plays. We talked about it. Colorado's offense didn't have a ton of rhythm in the first half against Utah. But what makes Colorado's offense so difficult to stop is even when they don't have a ton of rhythm, they still have the ability to hit those game-changing explosive plays. Like whether it's LeJontay West on a punt return, whether it's Travis Hunter just going up and being a superhuman, whether it's Will Shepherd making some of those contested catches. You look at Kansas secondary and say, all right, 61% completion percentage given up. That's 61st in the country. That's solid. But you're giving up 8.2 yards per pass attempt. That's outside of the top 100. They give up some explosive plays that you can get behind this defense. Can Colorado find some of those plays? That's kind of the last storyline I'm looking at. They're getting into the pick here. Colorado, 2.5-point favorites. Arrowhead Stadium. Who you got?
Probably lean Colorado, mainly for the fact I just don't really see a great avenue to Kansas stopping them enough times. And it really starts with, like, I know their pass rush is okay at times, but I don't know that they have that real, like,
Agreed.
monster, like, you know,
Yes.
like Nash and
Kind of
Ty.
some of the guys, yeah. Well, I was exactly what I was gonna say. Like kind of the Nebraska guys that really gave Colorado some problems. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm kind of with you. I'm not gonna be as on the fence as you though. You like to sit on the fence sometimes. I'm gonna say I
Yeah,
like
I think,
Colorado.
I mean, on the other side of it, Kansas, I think, is going to be able to score. Like, that offense is really
Yeah.
ramping up. I think will be able to get some things going. I mean, I
Look,
think Colorado, like,
Colorado last year, I'd take Kansas because I think Kansas would just be able to run the football. They play slow, just keep that Colorado offense off the field. Colorado's ability to create negative plays, get Kansas behind the chains, kind of put them into some obvious passing situations. That's what gives me confidence in Colorado. Like they've been very good against the run. They've been very good at creating negative plays. If you can do that against Kansas and get them into those third and longs where Jalen Daniels has to be a pocket passer, gives this Kansas offense a lot of trouble. And I think Colorado can do that. I got a lot more confidence taking Colorado in this kind of game this year than I did in 2023. And dude, let's just be frank. Vegas has been underrating Colorado all season. It's been free. Give me Colorado 2.5 points. Appreciate you guys rocking with it. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.